Where are we? Thanks for staying with us. Now we're going to review the papers. Start with The Nation. Attacked train. Families of abducted passengers protest. Ramfac, that's this... Ramfac proposed a 3.3% cut in federal government allocation, and they proposed a new formula. Mass redeployment in police. Ondo Governor Akeredolu not ill in Germany. 2022 budget deficit to hit 7.38 trillion naira. Okay, major headline, Nima?
Yes, I have the major headline.
Okay, go ahead.
So there was a ministerial briefing yesterday by the Ministry of Transportation as regards to those who, the sad event of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. And it was the Minister of State for Transportation, Ms. Bimishola Saraki, that was speaking. And she just tried to allay the fears of the families of the victims that the government is working really hard with security operatives to see how they can rescue those who have been kidnapped, and also, express our condolences to those who had lost family members already. But the story is just so sad because many people who were there were giving, their own personal story. There's a man who was there who said he's got a sister who's 7 months pregnant amongst them. And then there's a sister-in-law. She's 7 months pregnant, and her husband were kidnapped, a couple and 2 sisters as well. Just so many stories, and just to remind us that these are real life human beings with families at home. They're saying that even though it's fasting period, they're not even fasting well because they cannot imagine what these people are thinking. Some of them have, ailments that they have been treating and taking care of, like diabetes, hypertension. They are wondering what they are going through, and they cannot imagine what they are thinking. And so they're just begging government to please do all that it can to rescue them and just, take away this pain.
Another account in, I think, Vanguard is at 250 million naira already has been paid as ransom. So I suspect, personal opinion now, that the MD of the Agricultural Bank who was released obviously paid. Well, he wasn't released in the spirit of Ramadan. Because
those rumors are out there. Some
Ramadan,
people said
the pregnant women and children.
Exactly, that's what first.
So it's about money. This is a trade and a major crime.
All right, so, go ahead.
Linking it with truth in journalism, the Chief Press Secretary of Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, his name is Richard Olatunde, has dismissed the reports going around that the governor of Ondo State is ill in a German hospital. And let me just quote him. He said, journalism is about separate truth. A journalist cross-checks facts and presents only the truth and not fabricated stories. That the governor isn't ill or in the hospital in Germany. The governor took a first quarter 2 weeks break. Within that 2 weeks break, he spent 3 days attending an international investment conference in Dubai, and the pictures were everywhere. He and his brother were in Dubai attending that conference till the 31st of March. He doesn't understand why people were now spreading the rumor that he's ill in Germany and that he had handed over properly for 2 weeks so that his deputy governor can handle
I remember the story when we took it. They said that after that investment summit, they were all going on their medical checkup. So we knew that they were going to go to
Okay, so...
Sorry, he has deployed the commissioners in Edo, Adamawa, Kaduna, and Imo State. And so, as announced by the public relations officer of the police, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, these new officers for Edo, Sikiru Akonde Kayode, Abutu Yaro has been deployed as the commissioner for police in Edo. Sikiru Akonde Kayode, Yekini Adio Ayoku, and Mohammed Ahmed Bade are to move to Adamawa, Kaduna, and Imo State, respectively. And the details of it shows their various qualifications academically and why they've been redeployed also.
So the RAMFAC, the Revenue Allocation Mobilization Fiscal Commission, has submitted a proposal to the federal government concerning a new sharing formula for federal allocation. So according to them, they reduced the amount going to the federal government. They reduced from 52.68 to 45.117. That money saved has been shared to the states and also to the council. So they increased the states by 3.7%, and about 0.44% was given out to the councils. Now, the president had responded through Femi Adesina, who was speaking there, and was saying, was giving a speech thanked the entire the RAMFAC for this this review, saying that considering the changing dynamics of our political economy, such as deregulation, privatization, fund arrangement, and primary education healthcare, they see that there is a need to take another look at the revenue sharing because of the amount of money that is being spent and needed for all these other sectors, and saying that they are happy about this review, but this cannot be immediately implemented, but I think it will be eventually still looked at. But it's a good step as we review these figures that are coming from RAMFAC. Okay, moving on quickly to the Punch. National Assembly fights Malami back, appeals Electoral Act judgment. 2022 budget deficit jumps to 7.35 trillion naira. Buhari to borrow 965 billion naira. After denial, Lagos appoints Uluomo head of Parks Garages Committee. My father raped me for 1 year on beach, girlfriend's house, says Lagos teenager. Ogun youth, friend rape, kill OAU graduate, suspect's parents celebrate arrest. Adeboye's on Leke apologizes for calling pastors goats. NNPC seeks special courts to prosecute oil thieves. Suspected Russian hackers target Nigerian websites, hit Bet Naija. And train victims' families protest as Transportation Ministry briefing. Okay.
The major headline quickly.
Major headline, please.
You know, the section 84 sub, I'm trying to get the subsection, that, caused wahala about requiring appointees of the federal government or government. Section 84 sub 12 of the Electoral Act that bars political appointees and ministers, commissioners, and aides from contesting or voting in any party primary before, while they are still in power, in office, has been contested in courts, and the court, said that it runs contrary to the Constitution section. I'm trying to get it runs contrary to the Constitution, which only requires them to resign from office 30 days to elections. Yeah. And so the National Assembly are vexed. They have gone to get a bam lawyer to go on and contest that judgment, appeal that judgment against the parties who sued on that judgment. Based on the new court ruling, the Minister for Justice obviously declared in Kebbi State to run, and some appointees are moving on to do the needful. Yeah. They are also open on the President's request, which the National Assembly kicked out, to to vary that section and allow them to continue in office. But that's the new thing.
Let's take another story.
Hopefully, they have to step down.
Human interest story. So a 23-year-old boy has been arrested. His name, Ikenna James, for allegedly raping and killing a 29-year-old lady. I don't know if I should say her name because I feel she's the victim here. Yeah. And the story is that he and his friend found a way to climb through her ceiling into her room while she was sleeping, raped her, and then because she recognized them, went ahead and strangled her. The next morning, her neighbors, his parents included, noticed that her ceiling had been broken into, her room had been broken into. And lo and behold, who did they see walking out, climbing down the ceiling? It was James Ikenna. He was held down, vigilante held him down, they called the police, and he was arrested. The parents are saying the police should do all that is needed to punish him severely, that he has been a problem for them, he's a black sheep of the family, and so whatever punishment he deserves should be given to him. Really, sad story. Very 23-year-old boy has destroyed his life and wasted a life.
Oh, very sad. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Punch. We're still on Punch, actually. There was a story you wanted to take.
I wanted to take the human interest. Another sad story of rape. This time, incest by the father of the girl. Poor young 16-year-old girl narrated to the court how her father, Emmanuel Odega, had started defiling her from age 14 at their house in Baduri Aja, always at the beach, and then later on inside the house, he moved them again. Whenever he feels suspected, moved them to his girlfriend's house in Lekki and continued the act on her. She tried to talk to her elder brother. He waved it aside. And, eventually one day he just got upset and said she had to leave the house. Then they were at the girlfriend's house and she said she was not leaving. Where would she go? Obviously, she had subjected to that rape because, she was helpless. And so she spoke out when neighbors came in and said, he's been defiling me. And now he wants to throw me out, because maybe this has to stop. And so when they reported it to the Lagos State Domestic and Violence, Sexual Violence Agency. This was taken up, it was investigated. He said it was spirit that led him.
Who is the spirit? We need to arrest the spirit.
Yes, we need to. I think we need to kabash the spirit.
We need to.
Bad spirit
we need
out
to
of
catch
people.
it.
So,
wrong.
yes, I have a story in the Punch. Fallout from the Russia-Ukraine attack. America, the United States intelligence has already announced that there might be more cyber attacks by GRU. That's the intelligence arm of the Russian military. And a Nigerian company fell suspect. Fell into that category of those that they were going to affect. Bet Niger specifically had been having issues. They told their customers that they felt it was something wrong with their website, but they found out that it wasn't just something wrong with their website. They've been attacked by Russian, according to them, Russian cyber criminals have attacked their website, so it's no longer working, but they are promising that they would come back with a bang for all their loyal customers.
In a related story, though, which is not in the papers, we know that United Nations has suspended Russia from this Human Rights Council, and Nigeria was part of those who abstained from that vote. Many countries have also been very arguing. They're not really there. They've been on the fence on this issue of should we not, but Nigeria definitely
statements.
Let's move on to daily, so probably see it somewhere else.
Okay. States,
Local governments to earn more than FG in the new revenue. Southeast APC leaders demand party's presidential ticket for zone. Bola Ige, I'll be delighted to go to court, says Soyinka. FG takes over unclaimed dividend trusts. Killings bomb terrorists at enclaves now. Kaduna pastors tell FG. Be fair, firm. President charges APC new chair, Adamu. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Unclaimed dividends. Yes. So the Secretary, Securities and Exchange Commission has announced through their boss, Lamido Yuguda, that the federal government will be taking over unclaimed dividends into a new trust fund that will be managed by the Debt Management Office as well as SEC, so that SEC is not the only agency that will manage or oversee unclaimed dividends. Of course, this got shareholders talking that, federal government have moved away from their business into private business, and these funds should be managed by shareholders and not federal government, because they suspect that, federal government will use the unclaimed dividend funds for their business, which should not be. But as it is now, they are saying they are doing this to sort of regulate the funds and manage it on behalf so that there are no abuses. But the shareholders are claiming that the abuse can only come from the federal government.
Yes, so Kaduna State, pastors in Kaduna State have come together under the banner of what they call the Interfaith Alliance. And for them, they were protesting just all that's happening in Kaduna, banditry, terrorism, criminalities of all sorts. And they're saying that government needs to do more, that they acknowledge that government is doing its best, but its best is not good enough, considering, of course, everything that we wake up to read and people are experiencing every day in Kaduna State. And so they came together on this walk, and they called it Kaduna Praise, and they're hoping that, while government is fighting terrorists and doing better, they also should do other things like compensate victims of these attacks, as well as award scholarship to their children, help to rebuild their communities, that all these put together will just help, ameliorate the trauma that they go through and help them, come out of it eventually. But to just leave them. And, I always worry about that. When we report these things that happen, what else do we do to the community? Do we just leave them, ravaged, shackled? Or we hear that eventually some of them end up at these camps. And I just feel like this is a cycle. You're ravaged by bandits and terrorists, and still there's nothing on the other side from government that helps to ease the pain of what you have gone through.
So Professor Wole Soyinka has expressed his disapproval of Chief Iyola Omishoro as the National Secretary of the ruling party, and because, according to him, he is a prime suspect in the alleged murder of Chief Bola Ige. And he was saying this at an event, Forget the Past, Forfeit the Future, at an event where he was a media interaction in Lagos State. And he was quite disappointed that the president had actually initially indicated, I think Femi Falana also said that the president had promised to reopen the case of Bola Ige and take this case to court. And Wole Soyinka said he'll be happy to appear in court if need be. But it's wrong, according to him, for this individual specifically, it's like unleashing scorpions in our memory, according to the SAS. Okay, Let's move on quickly now to the Nigerian Tribune. All thefts, Nigeria loses $1.5 billion in 3 months. Pastors protest killings in Kaduna, demand massive bombing of bandits. 20 cows die in Kogi after grazing. Government advises 1 week abstinence from beef consumption. 2023, Osinbajo set to declare in a matter of days. FG to finance 2022 budget deficit with new borrowings. And yeah, that's it. What is the story?
Major headline.
Major headline.
The group managing director of the NNPC Limited has said that, you know, I like that he said crude oil theft is an elitist business. And he said that because of this, Nigeria's oil production continues to drop daily. And this is due to their activities, saying that Nigeria has lost 1.5 billion worth of crude oil to crude oil theft between January alone and March this year alone. Yeah. And this loss, you know, is about 250,000 barrels per day. And so he's asking that the EFCC and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit track movement of illicit funds accrued through oil theft to international markets, that, you know, there's a way they can follow the money and find the thieves. They're also looking at the Senate chairperson on House Committee on Petroleum Resources, Honorable Sarkin, that is urging the president to declare a state of emergency on crude oil theft and, you know, curb this as much as possible. But it's good that they know it's the BB people that doing are involved, and they can. Okay.
I want to just take this story before we run up. There was attack in Soludo's local government in the state specifically. It's called the Equalobia local government, and this is the second local government set ablaze in like 2 weeks. 2 people have been reported dead in this attack. We know that the new governor has come up with a committee to bring peace. I believe that people of Imo, people of Anambra, people of this citizen, this region, are being used by a few elements to cause problem and destroy properties within their state. If anybody is paying you to destroy properties within your state, you should think about it yourself and do not allow yourself to become the tool to cause harm to your own people.
We have to wrap up. Is there any important story you want to take in Vanguard? Buhari approves railway surveillance court. NURTW crisis. Opera has Lagos State appoints Oluomo Parks committee head. Bola Ige, we talked about that already.
Surveillance. Yeah. The president has approved you know, so the surveillance contract for surveillance of the rails. This is due, but the story goes on and on about why it wasn't approved before and how it didn't make sense that it wasn't approved.
And is it still costing 3 billion naira?
Yes.
It's still costing 3 billion?
No, I don't know. The details are not there. Okay. But the Lagos State has appointed their park managers to include the retired Commissioner for Police from Lagos, AIG, Akim Udumosu, liaison officer, government liaison officer, Musli Akisoya, that's MC Oluomo, Suleiman Nojora as deputy chairman, Dr. Taiwo Salam as the secretary, Olaiwola Lebimoyo, and all of them. A lot of them have been appointed as park managers since the NURT activities have been suspended and, you know, taken off Lagos.
Practically dissolved.
Yes.
That's all we can take on Front Page Review. It's Friday. What's happening in the celebrity world? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.